Is the third temple near? The return of Jesus is being fulfilled. Let's dive into the study of prophecies. Something is happening in Jerusalem. Ancient signs, millennia-old prophecies, and current events all seem to point toward one incredible truth: the return of Jesus Christ. Could we be witnessing the fulfillment of biblical prophecy? This video might change the way you see the world. The prophecies of Jesus. In Matthew 24, Jesus gave a direct warning to his disciples. So when you see standing in the holy place the abomination that causes desolation, spoken of through the prophet Daniel, let the reader understand. Then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Matthew chapter 24, verses 15 and 16. But who or what is this abomination of desolation? According to Daniel 9:27 and 2 Thessalonians 2-4, this refers to a prophetic figure who will rise up against God, entering the temple and claiming to be God himself. Most scholars and biblical interpreters identify this figure as the Antichrist, a global leader who will emerge with charisma and solutions, but whose real purpose is to deceive the nations and exalt himself above the Almighty. And the world? Is it already being prepared for his arrival? With increasingly centralized governments, the rise of digital surveillance, and growing acceptance of authoritarian leadership, many believe the stage is already being set. Jesus also described the signs that would precede these events: wars, famines, earthquakes, plagues, and persecution of believers, the beginning of birth pains. Today, these signs are not just happening, they are multiplying. Armed conflicts have erupted in the heart of Europe and the Middle East. Rumors of a new world war dominate headlines. Natural disasters are increasing in frequency and intensity. Pandemics have brought entire nations to a standstill. Christians are being persecuted like never before across the globe. Coincidence? Or are we witnessing the exact fulfillment of Scripture? The third temple and the Antichrist. The Bible reveals a shocking fact. He will oppose and will exalt himself over everything that is called God or is worshipped, so that he sets himself up in God's temple, proclaiming himself to be God. Thessalonians 2:4. This passage describes the Antichrist, a deceptive leader who in the last days will sit in God's temple, pretending to be God himself. But there's an unsettling detail. This temple does not yet exist. The second temple was destroyed by the Romans in 70 after Christ, exactly as Jesus prophesied. "Do you see all these things?" he asked. "Truly I tell you, not one stone here will be left on another. Everyone will be thrown down." Since then, the Jewish people have awaited the opportunity to rebuild it. For decades, this was handled in secrecy. Specific organizations were established to study the possibility of reconstruction, including the Temple Institute in Jerusalem, which has been working silently toward this goal for years. And now, this is no longer just a distant idea. All the sacred utensils have been recreated based on the Scriptures. Priests descended from the tribe of Levi are being trained. Ceremonies are already being rehearsed. And most impressively, the red heifers, essential for the purification ritual described in Numbers 19, have finally arrived in Israel. These heifers are exceedingly rare. For centuries, none met the biblical requirements, without blemish, without defect, and never having been yoked. But in 2022, a Christian farmer in Texas, USA, sent 5 red heifers to Israel, approved by rabbis after meticulous inspection. They are being kept under strict supervision until the appropriate time. Everything is ready, only the temple is missing. But why hasn't it been built yet? There are financial resources, architectural plans, and prepared labor. The problem is the location. The temple must be erected on the same site as the previous ones, on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. Today, this location houses two of the most important Islamic shrines in the world, the Dome of the Rock and the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Any attempt to build there could trigger an unprecedented global conflict. And here arises a widely discussed hypothesis. Could the Antichrist emerge as the great peacemaker, someone who will bring a political and religious solution to allow the reconstruction of the temple, promising to unite nations, religions, and cultures under a new era of peace? But this peace will be false. The Bible warns that this will mark the beginning of one of the darkest periods in human history, the return of Jesus. The Bible leaves no doubt about the exact location of Christ's glorious return. On that day, his feet will stand on the Mount of Olives, east of Jerusalem, and the Mount of Olives will be split in two from east to west. Zechariah 14. According to prophecy, Jesus will return to the Mount of Olives, and this mountain will be divided into two parts, forming a great valley. But what if I told you that science has confirmed this millennia-old detail of the prophecy? In 1964, during the construction of the Hotel of the Seven Arches on the Mount of Olives, a significant geological fault line was discovered running directly beneath the mountain. Since then, this fault line has been documented by various studies, including by the Geological Institute of Israel and confirmed by international institutions. This fault runs from east to west, exactly as described in the biblical prophecy, and could indeed cause a division of the terrain in the event of a significant earthquake. Coincidence or a divine sign that has been there, waiting for the right time to be revealed? The question now is, will this be the stage for the return of the King of Kings? Are we drawing ever closer to the literal fulfillment of this prophecy? The prophetic clock is ticking. The Bible contains 735 prophecies about the future. Astonishingly, about 81% have already been fulfilled with precision, including historical events confirmed by archaeology, geopolitics, and secular records. The destruction of the Second Temple in 70 after Christ, announced by Jesus himself. "Do you see all these things?" he asked. "Truly I tell you, not one stone here will be left on another. Everyone will be thrown down." Matthew 24:2, the restoration of Israel as a nation in 1948, a rebirth foretold over 2 millennia in advance. Who has ever heard of such things? Who has ever seen things like this? Can a country be born in a day, or a nation be brought forth in a moment? Isaiah 66:8, the recapture of Jerusalem during the Six-Day War in 1967, also foretold in the Scriptures. Jerusalem will be trampled on by the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled. Luke 21:24. And what remains to be fulfilled? The prophecies of the glorious return of Jesus. And the truth is, the signs are aligning with frightening precision. The great deception to come. Jesus gave a clear warning about the last days. In Matthew 24:24, he said, "For false Christs and false prophets will appear and perform great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even the elect." A great deception is approaching. The Bible reveals that the Antichrist will rise as a global peacemaker. He will resolve crises, unite nations, captivate the masses, and ultimately sit in the temple, proclaiming himself to be God. The world longs for global peace. From the founding of the UN to the European Union and recent attempts at multilateral agreements, leaders have tried to unify nations and economies under one system. What once seemed utopian is now seen as a viable solution. If a single ruler were to solve social, economic, and environmental issues, who wouldn't follow him? Revelation 13:16-17 warns. It also forced all people, great and small, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hands or on their foreheads, so that they could not buy or sell unless they had the mark, which is the name of the beast, or the number of its name. Today, this prophecy sounds chillingly possible. Technology is advancing rapidly. Contactless payments, digital currencies, subcutaneous implants. We're already hearing talk of implantable chips as solutions for everything, preventing loss and theft, protecting people with Alzheimer's or autism, real-time vital sign monitoring. All of this in the palm of your hand. Could the world be getting conditioned to accept this system? Perhaps not as an imposition, but as a smart solution. And once everyone becomes dependent on this system, it may be too late to turn back. Hope and the final resolution. Even amid so many dark signs, the Bible gives us a glorious promise. Revelation 19:11 declares, "I saw heaven standing open, and there before me was a white horse, whose rider is called Faithful and True. With justice he judges and wages war." Jesus will return with power and great glory. This time, not as the suffering servant, but as the King of Kings, to judge the nations, defeat evil, and establish a kingdom of righteousness. And the grand finale is written in Revelation 21, 1-4. "Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and there was no longer any sea. I saw the holy city, the New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride beautifully dressed for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, 'Look, God's dwelling place is now among the people, and he will dwell with them. They will be his people, and God himself will be with them and be their God. He will wipe every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death, or mourning, or crying, or pain, for the old order of things has passed away.'" This is the final hope for those who believe. A new beginning, a world without pain, fear, or sin, an eternal kingdom ruled by Christ himself. The question is, will you be there to witness it with your own eyes? Conclusion. A call to reflection. The reconstruction of the Third Temple is not just a theory. It is unfolding before our eyes, quietly, yet powerfully. But more important than knowing when Jesus will return, or when the day of judgment will be, the real question we all must consider is, are you ready to meet him? The time to prepare is now. We can't afford to delay. The prophetic clock is ticking, and the only moment we truly have is the present. If this message touched your heart, like, share, and comment where you're watching from. Share your thoughts, your reflections, and help us spread the truth about the signs of the times. Help more people get ready for the return of the King of Kings. God bless you, and see you in the next video.